tool we're going to look at is the wrap tool. So under transform, you have wrap. And it asks us for a tool and a target. So we're going to have to create something that we want to wrap around this face. And the wrap tool works with cylindrical faces only. It can be concave or convex, that's absolutely fine, but it should be cylindrical. So let's say we want to add a new plane. Let's get a new front plane. Let's make that 50 millimeters, so it's not touching, sticking out, green tick it. And then on this plane, let's add sketch and let's go for some text to start with. So N for normal 2, my text box is going to go here just to start with, and let's call it design. Font bold doesn't really matter, we can green tick, and obviously that is far too big, we think. Let's have a little play and see what happens. So if I was to then try and wrap that around, what I could do is I could green tick that. I could go back to my wrap tool, which is just up here, click on it. My tool is going to be this, and my target is going to be the cylinder. And as you can see, I only selected the eye. So we're going to go back to here and we're going to select the whole part. And now it's got design all the way around. It is currently a surface, okay, so you can see these lines, or this part is a surface at the moment. We could make it a solid, and then that will give it some thickness. Now obviously because of my text being too long, it's overlapping here, but you can kind of understand the basics of how that would work. You can change the thickness very easily, so we can make this 5 millimeters to make it really, really thick, and we could potentially trim it, but because it's already wrapping around, that's not going to work. It's not actually going to fit to anything. Actually I will show you, if we were to go back into the sketch and we were to make it dimension wise quite a bit bigger, so let's go 70, and I was to green tick this, and we're to go through the same process of wrapping it around this as our, there we go, that's our target, sorry, that's our tool, and this is going to be our target. My computer can keep up. There we go. You can now see that's sticking over the top, okay? And what trim to target will do is it will actually take away anything that's outside of the target. So design is wrapped around, again, far too big, but it's trimmed away that top part, which is very, very useful indeed. You could as well remove things. So it's now, rather than embossing it, it is basically extrude cutting it, taking it away, debossing it, I suppose you could say. It's a little bit messy, but that should give you the idea as to how that would work. Let's use something slightly different. So let's, on this plane, let's go for an organic shape. So let's take a spline tool and let's go for something like this. I can use my offset tool to give me 2 of those. Go back into there and just connect these up. There's lots of other ways I could have done that, but this will work. So we now have our target here. We can go back in, we can wrap this around. So the tools are going to be this, the target is going to be this part, and as you can see, it's wrapped around it. All right, if I was to move this slightly further up at an angle, that can change the angle, and we're going to make it solid, and we can give it a thickness. Again, we can trim this, and that will take that top bit away that is currently sticking up too much. And if we want to move it even more, I've already changed the angle slightly, but I could make it 10 degrees, I can make it 40 degrees, whatever you want to do. Okay, of course you can move it as well. So if I was to make this 10 millimeters to the left, you can see it's moved further along. That is pretty much it for your wrap tool. If you want to make it a separate part, click on new and it's going to give you a separate part there, so it's a separate entity. Again, I've spoken about removing it. Split line, you can think about how you could have multiple shapes coming along and it's going to give you that split line depending on how you want it. There's lots of different ways that you can use the wrap tool. So right now I've got a double split line down here.